Blade Runner 2033 Labyrinth has been announced. It's Annapurna's first in-house game. It's an interactive horror game.
That we don't really know the nature of, it seems. We just have a cinematic trailer.
Blade Runner?
Blade Runner.
Yeah. They released like a cinematic trailer. It doesn't really explain how the game works or anything about it. Really.
The only thing we know about it is that it's set in 2033, which is during the blackout that's described in 2049, where everything's shut down and everything was like gone, erased.
That is cool.
I always felt
it's a cool era.
It's cool, and I'm sure the game's gonna be cool, and I'm just gonna get on a nerd shit for a minute, but I hope it feels in some way essential to Blade Runner. I don't know if I'm stupid because I haven't played watched 2049 yet. But like
fake fan.
I'm just saying that like the lore and shit in Blade Runner is not like super complex. Like it's like a world where if you're iterating in it, like you got to really like feel like you have a reason to iterate in Blade Runner instead of just generating your own sci-fi story to like tell. I mean, what is it? It's a story about like androids who like don't have rights and who die quickly. You know what I mean? Like at its heart, these sci-fi tropes we see everywhere. Blade Runner just tells it in a really cool way.
Hey, I get you. First of all, please watch 2049 at some point. It's such a good movie.
It keeps being on my list, but like it's one of those movies that stays forever on the list because like I'm very particular that I want a perfect moment to like watch it, and I just haven't set that up.
All right, Andrew.
Here's
an issue though with that. I've seen Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, you saw it like on Discord in like a 480p rip, didn't you, or something like that?
No, what? No, I definitely did not.
Must be thinking of
watch it with we watch it in Discord. Me and Knoxville, full whatever 1080 1000p, and it was pretty good.
A lot of peas.
A lot of peas.
The other thing I was going to say was that just like addressing the side Blade Runner content that has appeared over the years, there was an adventure game back in the 90s that was just about another Blade Runner, I think. I don't know how vital that story felt. Probably a lot less than the original movie. But I think it's well regarded generally. Okay. I want to play that at some point, and then maybe I'll get back and say like, oh, it worked, for what it was, or maybe it wasn't, it wasn't necessary. Perhaps. And then there were the shorts that accompanied the 2049 film release. There were like shorts released, and those were just like side stories to the main movie, where it was just kind of filling out the extra characters,
Mm-hmm.
But there haven't been that many other stories set, like, as far as I know, set in different time periods than the two movies, And the other thing I'd say about its vitality, right, is that I would accept if every single Blade Runner thing ever made was set after the last thing that was made. You know what I mean? Same with Star Wars or anything like that, where it's a cool universe. I would be cool with seeing it just progress every single time.
You like just kind of living in the world for a while.
Well, what I'm saying is that I can totally leave stuff that is set back between stuff, between other stories in the universe. You know what I mean? Like we've talked about how 75% of Star Wars media is set in between episodes. Like
you're not interested necessarily in interquels at all, but you would love to just keep seeing sequels.
Yes, I would never ask specifically for an interquel for most of the things I consume. When it happens, it can sometimes be good. Don't get me wrong, but I would be cool if Blade Runner just like kept going up in years every time someone made a new thing for that universe.
Blade Runner 40K.
But this one's set in 2033. Blade Runner 40K, exactly. Damn, I'd take a huge time jump. That'd be cool. I don't necessarily want to go back before 2015. I don't think that's too
you don't want to see Blade Runner 1952?
And it's just the normal 52. It's like no different from ours.
It's like a war movie or like a coming home for the war movie.
Yeah. We get something like as a side plot. There's just like a guy who's the precursor to making like android technology. We're not even there yet. But as
Movie
for
opens up
anything they
In
could
a guy's office, there's a painting of a blade of grass.
and someone running like in the background, kind of blurred out.
Exactly.
Behind that
exactly.
blade.
Exactly. That's the only connection to the film.
Right. You have to be really attentive to pick up on these subtleties.
Yeah, exactly.
These Easter eggs. But as for any time it could have taken place, I think me and Vito are on the same page where it's like, if you're going to set any time as like an interquel, the Blackout is interesting. I just hope they pull it off well, because there's always the possibility that they screw it up. And then there's like a semi-canon work in the canon that is now ruins the Blackout period, which previously was just like hinted at. And that's no good. You know, that always kind of
what does that mean? Like,
absolutely.
Is the Blackout like a period of time? I'm just going to guess based on context. The Blackout is a period of time where like they lost contact with all the replicants, so they don't know who the replicant, who's not.
In part, but that is a side effect of the Blackout being like a literal blackout, as in everything went down. I forget exactly why.
I guess I was going for. I guess I was going for like the story reason of why that is a thing.
Yeah, no, it pertains to the story of 2049, but without any spoilers, there was a blackout back between the two movies that erased a lot of shit because it took everything offline. So this is set during that, which is interesting.
That's I guess part of what I'm saying. Like 2040, I'm not reviewing the movie. I'm just saying based on what you just said. 2049, like transformed the original work in some way. You know what I mean? There was a blackout, and that's like how we make this setting different. We ask the question of not just how do we look 40 years later, but how do we look 40 years later and this happened? You know what I mean?
Yes. And ideally, every work made in a universe would transform it.
Yeah.
But as we know, sadly, that is not the world we live in.
I just
because
with few worlds, I'm interested in just living in it. You know what I mean? I want to see it change up. And
Blade Runner is one of those worlds for me. I think.
Hey, I get you.
I like it.
We spent a while talking about that one game, but needless to say,
Annapurna
Interactive's first in-house game. I'm excited to see it. Don't worry, we'll cut through. Like, you know, we'll just cut the podcast here.
Yeah, you guys kind of used all the time. You know, I get paid by the hour, right?